My name is Gael Moens. I'm an interior architect at Rosenbosch Studio. And welcome in the new public primary school BS Klimop, Zandbergen, in a small village in Belgium, where learning through play, movement, and inspiration happens, and it creates a foundation of holistic learning. The design has a strong focus on the students' well-being and their connection to nature by offering them natural daylight, well-connected indoor-outdoor access, and spaces that nurture both learning and growth. We developed a holistic and playful design concept for the school from kindergarten to primary years. Rosenbosch Studio served as the lead educational architect and designer. The project was developed in collaboration as a coherent master plan to align the architecture, interiors, and the landscape. We believe that the space has an influence on our behavior, and this is why we use design for pedagogy as a tool to create learning environments that motivate and that shape a learning culture. The new school is developed as a training facility for the 21st century skills. We designed a differentiated learning landscape with activating zones and inspiring spaces. The spaces support creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. We place the learner at the center of the learning journey so that they can ask themselves, where do I learn the best? And this is a photo of Zandbergen and its beautiful nature, and we took inspiration from the landscapes. By exploring the village, we discovered different diverse contexts, from a nature reserve to the fields, to an urban context and a water stream. And these different teams are connected to the different areas in the school, and we use them for the spatial and the aesthetic identity for the different areas. Here we have an overview of these ecosystems, starting with the Nuchten, which is a nature area or a nature reserve nearby the school, and it's a protected area. This is an inspiration for the first years of the kindergarten. And then we connected the fields and the meadows ecosystem to the first years of the primary school. The mini society is an urban context, and this inspiration we used for the last years of the primary school. Each of these ecosystems marks like a step in the students' learning journey, and it gives them, and also towards increasing independence and autonomy. To connect everything in an exciting and organic way, we used the river the Dender as a metaphor for the water stream, and this goes through the shared spaces of the building. It comes to life in the main atrium and in the kindergarten atrium. This is a space for movement, inspiration, and discovery. Our approach was to create a natural and calm and diverse look and feel that supports the students' well-being and connects them with nature. One of the main challenges was to achieve a durable and natural atmosphere within the limits of a public school budget. We addressed this by combining robust materials and soft textures to stimulate the senses. Each of the color palette has a distinct, has their distinct colors. Inspired by the surrounding landscape, and it goes from soft natural tones to warm colors and shades of green that create a unity into a biophilic design. In collaborative development, we had the idea to create a school that belongs to its place. The challenge was to bring all the spatial programs from the design brief together into one coherent building. We achieved this by clustering the functions into a few main volumes, consisting out of 3 houses and a main atrium, and this is giving a structure to the school. Here we have the houses for the learning units in the yellow area, organized around the main atrium, which is the heart of the building in the gray area, and these spaces both go over 2 floors. Then we have the ground floor, and on the ground floor it has a reception and an administration and a green area. And above we have a gym. And then starting from the atrium, where large double high windows bring in a lot of natural daylight into the space, and we have a visible and physical connection to the playground. Movement, play, and inspiration are key elements in this central space. We are in the first years of the kindergarten, age groups 2.5 to 5 years. The age groups have an open shared space where movement happens naturally. It's in a direct connection to the jungle's gym, so they can let their energy out. The space is mirrored to give them a sense of familiarity, and it is connected to encourage interaction between the age groups. The school has a strong reading culture, which we included with book nooks and that spark curiosity. This is how the space looks today, an open area with differentiated zones. For arts, there is a light table, then there is a cave for calming down, and a small mountain platform for group gatherings and for storytelling. The toddlers learn through playful exploration. We are in the transformation unit for the last year of the kindergarten and the first year of the primary school, age group 6 to 7 years. The open shared space is becoming larger as the children grow. It is providing diverse elements so that the students can choose where they can learn the best. And there is a quiet concentration space in the center that creates two zones for each age group. Around the central concentration space, we created a mini library mountain because this is the age where the students start to read. The element is used for books, exhibition, and for inspiration. In the kindergarten atrium connects the units with the open shared space, where movement and play happens. This area extends to the outdoors. And here we see the jungle gym from the outside and how the children can move and release their energy so that they can regain focus. The space is designed to stimulate the senses with different textures, colors, and sounds. The students play while learning. We are back in the main atrium where the river is flowing and bringing us to the first floor. There is a gym, there is the two units and a discovery room in between. Each of the units has a mezzanine incorporated into the space under the roof ridge. We are in the learning landscape for the age groups 8 to 9 years. From this age groups, the units have an instruction room connected to the open shared space. Each of the age groups has their own environment while they're still being connected. And at the center of the space, we designed a unique element with different functions. There is a quiet space for concentration, and the mezzanine above is for reading. And here we see the special furniture that can be used in several ways for diverse learning purposes. The space is bright and it has a warm and natural atmosphere inspired by the fields and the meadows. We are in the learning environment for the older primary students, age group 10 to 12. The difference in this unit is that the students share the space in between, and they have the largest learning area, allowing the space to grow with them. Several instruction rooms and a large parliament is included. And here we see the large parliament that can accommodate all the students of all the age groups. And it's leading up to a mezzanine for reading and collaboration. The unit is designed with diverse elements inspired by the village. It has small concentration houses and wagons for group work, and this is the place that the students love the most. We are in the core of the building where the river flows in the atrium, bringing together the students of all ages, the teachers and the parents in one shared space. The large tribune is an iconic design element to gather the community. And this is used at the same time for the students to keep in motion by climbing up and sliding down. Every square meter of the school is designed for learning, where play and movement are enhancing the learning environment. And when students feel inspired, They feel motivated to learn. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. We're going to ask a question each. We're not going to do standardized questions and ask the same thing to every project, but I think our questions will probably be arising from the nature of the project themselves. So, Adrian, could you start with the first question, please?
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. I'd like to understand a bit more about the connections between the architectural process and in the interior and the material selection, because you've presented the palette as being a look and feel, but I'd like to understand a bit more how they actually are distributed and how you use such or such palette, and what is the connection with the architecture and what is the flow actually of the activities, because you've presented different moments as almost isolated from one another, and I wish to understand a bit more of another, I would say, an overall journey. What is the journey of the kids in that in the whole school?
Do you mean like the journey of the kids throughout the interior, and what the distinction is between all the spaces?
Yeah, and understanding also how the design and interior design choices are rooted within the activities and rooted in dialogue with the architecture, and these merging of volumes that you have led. You've done the architecture and the interior, correct?
Well, we have done the interior and we collaborated with the local architects, and we are also consultants, so for the other parties.
So that maybe if you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, so but everything is interconnected with each other, and in the beginning I also showed the inspiration for the nature. For instance, we used the Nuchten, this nature reserve. It's a protected area, and this we connected to the development of the age groups. So this protected area, this is needed for the kindergarten, because they need a safe environment. And then we used this some references like colors of the birds or of flowers, and like some green tones. And the green tones are connecting everything in the space. But then the older the students get, the more like then they go to the landscape, the fields and the meadows in a more open environment, and then at the end they go to the urban context, more open in the world. So that's how the space kind of is growing with them, and then we use these references and materials inspired by the context of the landscape.
Is that answering your question, sort of?
Sort of.
What about, can I just chip in and ask about how you move from one level to the other, in elaborating on Adrian's question?
So there is this big tribune in the center of the space. Is that what you mean, like with the connection between the spaces? Yeah. So there is a big central connection, the tribune, and they can move, they can take the stairs up, or they can also climb. There is a climbing wall. And then there is a slide next to the climbing wall, so they can slide down. There is also, there was a photo at the end. There is another stair that also brings them up in the space. And then there is also secondary staircases connected.
Okay. Lucy.
Hi. You talk a lot about the materials relating to the landscape or to the environment, but when you look at the interiors, you decide to only use them on the furniture, and it's a very white space. So I'm just wondering on what was the decision to make everything very white in a backdrop, and only use the kind of the connection to the landscape, which looks very rich and very green outside, and not use that in its entirety inside the building.
So the decision for that came, we purposely wanted to make a design that engages the students, and it doesn't, we don't want them to be distracted by too many colors, or so it's a design that has like a purpose and that is like implemented into the space. And so there is this balance of like the white spaces, and then with the design that interconnects with each other. Yeah, if that answers the question. Yeah.
Well, I was also impressed by the fact that it's pale and it reminds me of how people dress in Germany in very pale clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they dress the same in Belgium, but it's kind of a northern European palette.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me, and maybe the reason is that the skies are grey a lot of the time, and you want as much light as possible. But I would have liked to see the colours bumped up, and of course understand the material palette as being important. I think there are lots of inventive forms and conditions in there. The one thing that I thought was, if a teacher wants to have all the students sitting in a formal situation, like in an old-fashioned classroom, is that impossible?
That is a possibility. So from
But you carefully avoided showing us anything like that.
Oh, excuse me,
It wasn't evident from the presentation that you could have a formal relationship between the teacher and the student. So how would that be accommodated?
From the primary school, they start having these instruction rooms, so where they are more in a private setting. So they have these kind of spaces. And on top of that, they also have spaces where they can learn also in different ways. So so actually they have both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. I suppose my question really revolves around you constantly refer to the relationship between nature and the interior.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really see it. And I sort of think, if I'm looking at it through the eyes of a child, couldn't you have had a real tree instead of a fake tree? There's no plants. We didn't really see where the kids eat. Can they cook their own? Can they make their own food?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a garden outside that they can? I think that's all part of learning, and I think that the way education is moving, certainly for primary, younger years education, it is about kind of really experiential stuff rather than just sitting in a room looking at a book. Yeah. And I kind of didn't really get that feeling. You talk about a river, but it's an imaginary river, isn't it? So I think, do you want to just perhaps clarify?
Of course. Yeah, so of course we use the themes and the landscape, but in a way we also don't want to like really literally give that. For instance, we took the river as a metaphor, we took the colors, we took the green shades and the organic shapes, and then also the river equals movement, so it's about the activity in the space. And this area extends to the outdoor area. And of course, in the first video, the plot was still in development, and the kids have an edible garden, and they have like sensorial, it is planned. By now, they have it. So that's all part of the holistic learning experience. And there is also like a learning kitchen included. And of course, the pictures are giving like some images, but of course there is all these facilities are in the school. Yeah.
Hello. So I have 3 kids and they just went through this process, so I think they will really enjoy being there. So congratulations on a beautiful project.
Thank you.
I'm very curious about when I put my kids in, they went to a Montessori system. So I'm very curious, was there any discussions between the classes they offer and how you design specifically? And I also want to have a quick check if it's a private school. And lastly, I want to ask, because for example, in Montessori, everything is about the kids doing their own work, like sewing or writing or doing things like multiple times. So there's a very large storage system, storage. So everything, because everything you show is very clean and beautiful. I was wondering the conversation you have with the school and if we can see that on the photos.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for your question. So it's a public school in Belgium. So, and all the schools go through a competition. So that's why different parties are handing in a competition. So then you don't really have the communication with the school. So we have to work what we get from the school and with their pedagogy. And then we submit it or offer. And then later on, there was discussions and conversations starting with the school. And for instance, this school in Belgium, they are very like hands-on, and they have this holistic approach. So we wanted to accommodate all of these things, and they also work with more Reggio Emilia. So in that way, we also provided them all these libraries and storage units, and there is also in all the home bases for the kindergarten a lot of shelving for books, so that the children that all the books are actually displayed for them, so that it can spark their curiosity. So in this way, we incorporated these kind of elements into the space. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
very
you so
good.
much.
Thank you. We're
Okay.
going to...
Thank you.
Thank you.